You're fine, but I want to ask you because you're kids.
No, we can't move on.
Take a moment.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just told me on here.
No, I really thought Tori would have told you.
No, Tori doesn't tell me anything anymore. She barely talks to me.
You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabel Garino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. I am so excited for our guest today. She is the transaction coordinator, COO, and Wonder Woman for one of the nation's biggest real estate investors. Not only that, but she's writing a book and developing her own real estate course, as well as buying and investing in businesses with her husband. Today, I get to welcome Molly Tennant to the Young Boss Podcast. Welcome, Molly. It's great to have you.
I know, it's good to see you. I'm so excited to be here. Like, I can't even contain my excitement.
It has been a minute. So we used to work together when
in this very place we're in right now.
In this very place, now turned into the podcast studio.
Yes.
I'm so excited for everything you're doing right now. So tell me about what's going on. You are launching a new course. What's happening? Tell us everything.
Man, I don't even know. I tell people on a daily basis, I don't know how I even got here.
Yeah.
Right? Life has thrown turns. I was in engineering school, and then I graduated with a degree in genetics.
Yeah.
Started my own automotive businesses with my husband.
Yes.
Ended up in real estate. And then now I'm starting a transaction coordination course, and I'm going to be a mentor. Right?
Yeah.
Weird.
It's because you say yes.
It's because I say yes, 100%. And I think that's my motto to my life, to be honest with you, because I have never said no.
Yeah.
Even if I'm scared, even if I'm concerned about the outcome or whether I'm qualified or whether I know what I'm doing. I mean, even when I started with you guys, I didn't know anything about assisted living.
Yeah. And you were like, I will do it. I will learn it.
I'm like, sure, let's go. I mean, I guess let's do it, right? Obviously you see something in me if you feel like I'm appropriate for the job, right? And I think really what it comes down to is, and I'm not here to toot my own horn, but I'm likable. I'm a person that I could probably get along with anybody. And that maybe is the reason why I even got hired here. I could be the liaison between any personality type.
Yes, we know this.
You know what I mean? And so I know that about myself. I know that's my superpower. And that really could cover a vast amount of career paths.
Yes.
Right? I could do anything with that.
Yes, we would always stick you with the hard ones.
I know. I know. It's so true. It's this guy's being a jerk.
We don't like him.
Molly.
Can you tell? She'd be like, I got it. I'll do it.
It's fine. And then I get off the phone and I'd call Isabel and be like, we're best friends. He loves
She'd be like, I really like him. I think we're fine. We're good. And I'm like, great, because we all hate him. So that's amazing. No, I love it. And I feel like you are absolutely so easy to work with. You are definitely a yes woman, but you are so, even if you don't know what you're doing necessarily, you're like, I will figure it out and I will come back to you with questions if I don't.
Yeah. And what I think I've learned from doing all of the things I've done, being a business owner, so being on the top end of things and being somebody who's just an assistant, right? And then coming into the role that I'm in right now, where I started as an operator, I sort of did some assistant stuff. I really was very similar to you in the beginning as you were with Jean, right?
Yeah.
Anything and everything. If you needed to schedule thing, I just help with the schedule thing.
Yeah.
If you needed an operations thing that was really high level, I do really high level stuff, right? So if I need to be him in a meeting,
you're him.
I'm him in the meeting. You know what I mean? That's what it morphed into. And it was because anytime a problem came up, anytime something came up, I was like, I'll help, I'll solve it. I'll do whatever, it doesn't matter. And I didn't have that mentality of that's not my job.
Yeah. Yeah. Never.
That's not my job.
Never.
Or I can't do that. Or that's below my pay grade. Those words, that vocabulary doesn't even exist within my world.
Yeah. I hate that act your wage. I'm like, ew, why? Why are we saying that we're above doing stuff? Are
you then going to treat that person that you hire for that position that way?
Exactly.
That they're below you, that they don't have as much value as you have?
Exactly.
So for me, it's every position I've had, whether I worked for myself and I treated my employees that way, or whether I worked with you guys and we all aligned core values and ethically, and I learned so much about not only how to run a business and how to be within a mentorship, but also about ethics and about core values and about aligning with people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you align with someone, it doesn't matter if you don't know what they do
or
if you don't know the details of that career.
Yep. You'll figure it out.
And so that's where I am. That's how I got to where I am right now, is because I just am like, okay, I'll take a chance. And you seem like cool people, right? let's cool people together.
Yeah.
So that's really how I've gotten
Okay.
to this
And
point.
now your journey into mentorship is taking a whole new leap where you are about to be a major mentor and coach to a lot of different people. So tell me a little bit about that. Are you scared? What's going on?
I am. I feel like every person looks at mentors as if they know everything.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you feel that where you're at. Like, they're like, you have a course, you have a podcast, you have a YouTube channel, you should know everything.
Yeah.
And so what I really feel like I want to do with this mentorship is I'm trying to step away from the very like promoter, mentory type things, number one, and stay true to myself, which I'm not naturally, I don't think promoter-ish. I don't know, you know? And so that's the number one thing I try to keep in mind is like, am I being open? Am I being honest? Am I being true to myself through this entire thing?
Yeah.
And is the marketing that's being presented to me appropriate for me? Is I'm not just following suit and being like, this is what we're going to do because this is what works to sell, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's that part of the mentorship aspect, but also I let people know right away. Like, if you're going to come learn from me, I'm going to learn from you.
Okay.
Right? Like, your students go out and they do things.
And they teach us stuff
and they
all
teach
the
you
time.
stuff all the time.
All the time.
But they came to you to learn from you.
Yep.
So people don't think about it the opposite way. And so for me, it's like I start the mentorship that way. I'm going to start you guys out by knowing like, I don't know everything. I haven't been in every scenario. Have I been in thousands of scenarios? Will they be the exact ones all the time? No, real estate is crazy.
Yeah.
Real estate is crazy. Real estate is all over the place.
Yep.
And so for me, it's like, did I do you guys a good service by teaching you what I know? And then you can come back and have the ability and the comfortable feeling to know that you can come back into my mentorship and tell me, hey, I went and found this out and I think you might be wrong.
Yeah.
Or I think you might not know 100% of this. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's learn together. Tell me. I 100% want to know. So I think coming into this, I come from a different aspect because of the winding path that the yeses that took me to where I am today, you know, and I want to bring that vibe and that feeling into it, as well as keep the same vibe that's from the mentorship that I came from, which is Sub 2. And so, and RALA, right? Like, I came from both of these different mentorships that both had really good core values and they have differences in each other, but I'm bringing all of my experience there into this one.
Yeah, I love that. Is there anything that you're looking to do that you're like, this is just going to be what sets me apart? This is what makes my mentorship so different, or working with you so different, because you are under a company where there's a couple of options, right? They could be working with Pace or with you or with whomever. So how does that work? Why does someone want to choose to work with you?
You know, what's interesting is people get into real estate and they don't really know why they want to be in real estate, right? They're like, and I'm sure people do money. Yeah. Like, everybody knows people make money in real estate, but it's about being fulfilled in life, right? Like, ultimately, when you get down to it, you want to die at the end of your life and be like, I was fulfilled. You don't want to be like, I made a ton of money and my bank is full. Like, that's not fulfilling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, at least for me, I guess if you're morally sound, that's what you're trying to do. So I feel like if I have a mentorship that makes people feel fulfilled in whatever they're doing in real estate, then I've succeeded. So people could come into real estate and they could say, hey, I want to learn how to creatively buy properties, whether it's using subject to strategies or seller finance or other combination of methods that we've taught within Sub 2. They could go that direction. They want to be the investor, right? They want to go that direction. Maybe they want to be a care home owner or just own the real estate that the care home operator operates
lives in.
You know? And so I don't want to say lives in, because obviously we don't encourage that. But, I also feel like they could then go the path of, I just want to be a lender. I just want to be a buyer. I just want to be, they have all these different pathways, but nobody within a lot of the mentorships I've seen talks about being the background guy, the transaction coordinator, the guy that does, the guy or gal, should say there's probably more gals that do it, the person that does all the paperwork. And really, they're the person that knows everything about everything, right? They're like the attorney or the title company, right? They've seen all the things because they see everybody's transactions. And so it opens up avenues for people that they didn't see before. So somebody who's new into real estate could get into transaction coordination, start seeing the deals that people are doing and go, I'd want to be a lender.
Right, and then decide.
Oh, I know a lender. I could actually make money on this deal by connecting this lender and this investor, and I now become a partner on that deal. So I teach things like that within the course that are more so related to, where's your niche in real estate?
Like, let's find it.
What do you want to do? And maybe you don't want to be a transaction coordinator forever.
Yeah, that's okay.
But it's a great starting point because you get to learn the details of the paperwork, the legal side of things.
Yeah.
You get to learn what types of transactions are going on and what people are doing, different strategies people are using. You're kind of like the insider in everybody's deal because you're seeing the contracts without being involved in those deals, right?
Yeah.
So people bring you their contracts and you're like, oh, these terms are cool. Oh, I've never seen somebody use that strategy before. Oh, they're buying an assisted living home, whatever it is, you know? And so for me, it's one of those things where I didn't realize the value of a transaction coordinator when I was a real estate agent.
Okay.
Because I didn't even know they freaking existed. I was like, I'm just going to do it all. You know, you and I are very similar in that way, which is a problem sometimes.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're recovering right now. Right? So I feel like it's a good way for people to be valued in the real estate space without being an investor, without being a realtor, without having any other previous experience. You can learn to get into real estate and honestly make real estate type money.
Yeah.
If you're very organized, you're project management oriented, you like the details stuff, right? You like paperwork,
you gotta like details. Yep.
You like organizing things. You want things to be just right. Maybe you're type A, you know, those are the perfect people to be a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
Not saying everyone needs to be that. So I'm
no,
not
but it's helpful.
But you would probably stay in that career long term. Whereas other people might try it, they dabble in it, they figure out what path they want to go based off of other people's transactions they're seeing. And they go that direction.
Okay, very cool. So it's like a great way to get in the game, learn, and then go and decide from there.
If you want to.
I love it.
Just stay being a transaction coordinator forever. Own your own little business, hire other TCs under you. Right now, I just have 5 transaction coordinators that I oversee all of their transactions.
Yeah.
And so they really only come to me if there's a fire or something they don't know how to do.
Right.
But yet all of that money goes towards the company that I run.
Yep. Okay, let's talk about that scalability. So I know when you were working with us, it was very different than when you work with Pace. So tell me what you're thinking, knowing, what you've learned about scalability and how do you feel about it now?
So, oh man, like this is such an amazing story. So when I came into Pace's world, he's a very active, very Gene-esque. I like to say that to you all the time. He's just a younger version of your dad. And he wants to do more, but he didn't necessarily have the right partner or person involved, operator or whatever, integrator in his life to do that. Yeah. Right. So I was kind of bebopping around for the first 6 months and figuring out where I belonged in his world because I wasn't really, you know, how we are in this world. There's not like training going on when you're a solopreneur. I was like, go ahead, figure it out. You know, just throw you in the deep end. And literally. You like swim around for a little while and then you're like, okay, I figured it out. You know? Yeah. So I got into this world and I'm like, okay, he's doing some fix and flips and some rentals and, you know, this is great. I know this stuff. I'm a traditional realtor. And then I got introduced to the creative finance aspect of it. And I honestly was sketched out. Yeah. I thought there's no way this is legal. This is 100% illegal. Okay. Like there's no way. I was like, sketchy. I'll stay over here where I know this is legal stuff, right?
Hey you, why waste time scrolling through social media when you could be learning how to raise capital, manage a team, and be a boss? It's time to level up and hit that subscribe button for the Young Boss Podcast. Now, back to the show.
Because realtors have a bad taste in their mouth about investors.
Okay.
And especially wholesalers. And I was coming into a wholesale business. Yeah. Right off the bat. Yeah. Right? And then I realized like, okay, it's not what I'm thinking. The more attorneys I talk to, the more title companies I talk to, the more people I talk to, they're like, no, actually that's not true. Like none of that's true. So every concern I ever had was always met with
debunked. It was,
hey, this is not true. Like look at the HUD-1 settlement statement. It literally has a line item for loans taken subject to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's legal, 100% legal. So after I got over that, I was like, okay, maybe I'll look into it some more, right? But I wasn't really involved with the mentorship yet. I was only involved with the back end of his business and his real estate stuff that he was doing personally. Okay. And so we had an issue with a transaction where we didn't have a transaction coordinator. I didn't even know what a transaction coordinator was at the moment. And he was like, hey, can you check on this property? It's been in escrow a little while. It had been in escrow for like 4 months. Oh. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Well, the problem is that there was a buyer, there was a seller, and then there was a title company who was kind of like ho-humming around, like pulling some extra liens out and being like, there's another lien, there's another lien, there's another lien. Because that's what happens when people are in foreclosure. So it was a pre-foreclosure. And so I was like, okay, what does the original contract say? A, the contract says we should have closed in December. It's now March, you know. B, it says that the entry fee, which is the amount of money we'd put as a down payment between paying off loans and then taking over the existing loan, was about $50,000. Well, now we were reaching, between the new liens that had come up and new title searches, $100,000 to $150,000. And I was like, okay, this is my first one.
Yeah.
Well, this feels wrong. This feels like you were contracted and now you're at a completely different deal. Now it's been a significant amount of months in between. But what I didn't realize is the reason there had been a significant amount of months is because there was no transaction coordinator on the file.
Okay.
Nobody there to say, okay, let's close this. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, seller, what are you doing? Buyer, what are you doing? You know, title, what's up with this? Like there was nobody
moving the deal,
coordinating the deal.
Yeah.
And so it sat for this long to the point where I was like, we have to cancel.
Yeah.
And I know everyone's going to be real upset. So I came back to Pace as his partner and as his operator now and said, this isn't a good deal for you.
Yeah.
So I took my transaction coordinator hat off. I put my operator hat on and I said, we got to cancel.
Yeah.
And so we did. We canceled that first deal. But what it made me realize is the value of a transaction coordinator.
Yeah.
And from there, I started coordinating. I'm getting back to scaling. I promise. I'm circling around. So I've learned this from Pace. Long stories. So from there, I started transaction coordinating a lot of things. And I started creating systems and I started using Trello, which is like Asana.
Yes.
So I started using Trello and organizing the way that I knew from being with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And organizing the transactions by where they were and creating checklists and creating balance and creating organization and systems and getting everything organized so that we could do these transactions that are very complicated in an easier manner that felt streamlined. And when that happened, within that next year, we acquired over 1,000 more doors.
Wow. Total game changer.
Just adding me.
And systems.
And then one girl. I did end up hiring one girl about 6 months later after that. So really, anybody who's an investor, no matter what space you're in, once you hire that transaction coordinator or your assistant or your integrator or your operator, in my case, that I ended up doing the transaction coordination portion of my job, that's where the scalability came for real estate specifically. And so I think that I learned a lot about systems and becoming organized and doing all of that. And so much of that I learned with you guys.
Yeah.
And for that is what caused us to be able to scale to where we were.
That's amazing.
So for anybody and any business, it's really going to be automation, getting organized, using the right platforms, spend the money, and then use your time on what makes the money. So if you need to spend your time on marketing, if you need it, and I didn't do this as a business owner originally. I didn't do that. Bad. I didn't do that. And and now I don't own those businesses. I have new businesses, but the old businesses I don't own anymore. I did end up shutting them down, and that's how I found you guys. So look, everything happens for a reason. Here I came full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
I love it. No, it is true. And I do think systems, people underestimate systems. They're like, oh, I started small, onesie, twosie. Like I don't need a full-blown system. I'm like, okay, but the thing is, you may not need it with one, but you're going to need it when you have 5, when you have 10, when you have 1,000, you're going to need it. And if you can figure it out when you have one and create the process for yourself, this is how we do stuff. It makes it way easier and go way faster so you can grow. If you don't, you get to 100 and then you're like, oh shit, we can't do this. Like what's going on?
Why is everything falling apart? I don't understand. Yeah.
Because you didn't take the time to sit down and make processes.
With communication, right? When you have a few people working for you, it's easy. You all know what's going on all the time.
Yeah.
When you think about adding, someone told me the numbers and I don't know what it was, but it was somebody that I work with that's a major operator. And he told me about like, when you have 4 people, there's this many ways to communicate. When you have 8 people, there's like quadrillion, whatever, ways to communicate, right? Just adding 4 more people, right? And so I think as you grow, it is intimidating to think about hiring people, to think about managing more people, because what happens is the telephone game screws up everything along the way. There's people missing information. There's people that make mistakes, and you have to be okay with the fact that there is going to be a learning curve. As you hire people, they're going to come to you and say, I'm overwhelmed. There's too much going on. And you're like, I used to do all of this myself. Like,
and what? More.
I did all of your jobs. So what do you mean you're confused? So I literally tell people, and I tell my staff when they come to me and they're like, I'm having a moment, I'm having a breakdown, which we have great open communication and I have a great relationship with all of them. You're stretching. You're stretching. And I compare it to when you have to pee really bad.
Okay.
So when you have to pee really bad and then all of a sudden your bladder stretches and you're like, oh, I don't have to pee that bad anymore.
Okay.
So I stretch people in my world.
Okay.
Right? I stretch them. People do that with their stomachs too, with food.
Yes.
I stretch them to the point where it's like, I can't. And I'm like, no, I think you're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good because I've been here where you are. And I promise you'll
get through
next week, you're going to be like, oh, I could do 2 more of those,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Same with exercise, right?
Yeah.
Like you're dying the first couple of times you exercise.
Yeah.
You can't get through it. And then next thing you know, you're like, man, I could do 100 more of these, you know? And so work environment is the exact same way. Like we are adaptive creatures.
Yes.
We will adapt and overcome. And if you let the mental aspect of things break you down and put you in a position where you cannot handle the stress, then you're not going to go anywhere.
Yep.
You're going to go nowhere. You're going to stay stuck in your box, maybe in your W-2 box.
Yep.
Right? Stay stuck in your W-2 box and you're never going to take that step out.
Yep. I love that. Let's talk about college because I know you have some strong opinions about college. And
I had kids in college.
I know. And do you feel like, you know, you're not going to maybe push them to do college because of how you feel about it? Let's talk about it. College.
I have a very open mind when it comes to children.
Yeah.
And this will be my parent advice for you.
Okay,
and I
love
won't give you any more advice because people give you way too much advice when you have kids. Don't tell anyone you're pregnant. Don't tell anyone what you're naming your child because everyone has an opinion on that.
Yes.
So I feel like I will encourage my child to be a yes man.
Okay.
I know that's the theme of my life, right?
Yes.
So if you want to go to college, do it.
Yep.
Great. I will help you. If I have the means to pay for it, I will help you pay for it. I will help you better your life. That's totally fine. If you choose to do something that maybe you won't end up doing the rest of your life, that's fine. Because I honestly feel like what I learned from going to college, like I said earlier, I was an engineering major, turned genetics major, graduated with a degree in genetics, was going to be a veterinarian.
Yeah.
Didn't become a veterinarian, didn't obtain all of that debt. Now I do know that's the one thing that I will preface to my children is like, if you go get $300,000 in debt for law school, for being a pharmacist or being a veterinarian, whatever, like you have to gauge what your payments are going to be. Let's underwrite that.
Yeah.
Like real estate, right?
Yeah.
Let's underwrite the return.
Yeah.
On your college costs.
Yeah.
Now, I only probably spent $60,000 and my parents paid for it on my bachelor's degree. So for me, it's 100% worth it because I went through college being pushed and being stretched and being put in positions that I didn't want to be in. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to do these things. I didn't want to take these dumb classes sometimes.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why I was learning these things, but what it taught me was to persevere. What it taught me was to push my boundaries and push myself in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
So that when I got to the point where it was like, hey, you want to start a business? It was like, sure, whatever. I mean, I guess I could do that. You know, I could get through engineering school. I could get through, school to be a geneticist. Like, sure, I will do whatever you want to do, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that my perspective on college now is that like, more power to you. Go get your education. If you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a lawyer, that's great.
Yeah.
But who makes the money if you're a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer? You make the money. You're the person that has to be there.
Yeah.
The lawyer doesn't send their paralegal to court to show up to make the money.
Right.
The doctor doesn't send their assistant in to do the surgery.
It's tied to them.
It's tied to them. And so this is what I will teach my children. If that is what fulfills you and that is what you love and that's what you want to do and you'll be happy the rest of your life doing that, do it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Really, if that's what you like, do it.
Yeah.
If you want to be a beach bum and surf the rest of your life and you're going to love it, do it.
Yeah.
I love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think my perspective on college is I think it's great. I think it has its place. I think that if people are out there that are fulfilled, we have to have those people that have those jobs. If my kid chooses to be one of those people, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will be here to support you as your biggest fan.
Yep.
Scalability.
Yeah.
What is the scalability of your life?
Yep.
If you become a doctor or an engineer or whoever, if you have to be the one that is there to make the money. Do you know how many doctors, you too, do you know how many doctors, lawyers, people I talk to on a daily basis that are like, I'm trying to figure out how to get into real estate and get out of my day job.
Yeah.
And they're doing great things.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but it's like, if it's no longer checking that box, no longer filling your cup.
Yep. Yeah.
You need to figure out what to do to move on. Some people catch the real estate bug and some people catch the assisted living bug. Some people catch what they feel like is best for them at that time.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think that's really true. And it's important to know that most of those high paying careers that people say like, okay, like if you're going to go to college for a business degree or communications, like forget it. But if you're going to go to be a doctor, okay, go do it. Right. And people like a lot of parents are like that. But then
if they go to be, one of those high paying careers, you're right. They're stuck with being in that job and they can't, like you're saying, I've got 5 people under me. They do all the work and I make the money. And so it's like, oh, that's everyone's dream career. Like everyone says, oh, I don't want to do anything, but I want to get paid the big bucks.
I want to passively make money.
I want to passively make money. Okay, well, you're going to have to figure out something. You'll probably have to do it for some time being, but then you can get to that point where you have all these people under you who are making that money. So then you can sit back and chill and do the things you want and do the things you love.
You're then contribute in the way that is your highest and best use, right? Like what is bringing in the money for the business and what's scaling you, right? And you focus on those things. And I think, to be honest with you, that's just drinking the mainstream Kool-Aid. Yeah. If you're saying, I need to be a doctor or an engineer, to make money, whatever. Yeah. And I was there, guys, like just because you can be an engineer doesn't mean you should be an engineer. I was there. I was that kid that was like, I'm smart, I can do math, I can do science, I want to be a doctor, an engineer, and my parents will be proud of me and I'll pay my W-2 taxes the rest of my life and I will die poor, like literally. Yeah. And I'm not saying doctors or engineers are poor, but I'm just saying like I will die probably unfulfilled. And that's kind of the way that I talk about it within my course is like, hey, like I did this, I paid for this education. Yeah. And I'm here with you guys teaching this freaking course. Yeah. So like it's okay to change course paths. It doesn't mean that because you got your doctorate or because you're an engineer that you can't change course. Yeah. That you can't go a different direction. And I think some of these careers and some of these degrees are undervalued. You just said marketing, communications, things like that. Yeah. Girl, I wish I went and did the finance classes, the marketing classes, the business classes. Yep. Do you know how much I wish I could reverse time and go back and do those measly degrees instead of the stupid degree I have that I'm not using? Right?
You have very specialized degrees, Molly. Genetics?
What? Who uses that?
Yeah. What were you thinking?
Molly, I don't know. So originally I thought I was going to be a genetic engineer. I saw a video in high school about them, and they do this now, making hearts for people. Oh yeah. Like taking the hearts down to the protein skeleton and really, and like stem cells. Like I have both my kids' stem cells saved. Oh, that's You should get your kids' stem cells saved. Okay. I can give you a code. Okay. So appropriate for people to not undervalue these things that we've done, right? And that people do, because it's actually maybe a better idea than you think. Yeah. And at first glance, everybody likes to judge a book by its cover, right? And so you think, oh, the business majors or the marketing majors in college are just the lazy kids that want to come to college for parties and whatever. And it's like, then they go on to be the entrepreneurs and the business owners. And like those people that I know now that went to school for business, they're, making $500,000 a year and they're doing really, really good, you know? And so it's like, I didn't see the value there because I drank the mainstream Kool-Aid and I, did what I thought my parents would be happy for me to do. Although my parents would have been happy for me to do anything. Yeah. And so that's what I want to, circling back, that's what I want to encourage my kids to do is like follow their heart. Yeah. Whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel fulfilled. Yeah. I'll be here to support you. I'll be your biggest fan.
But look at scalability.
Can you look over here for 1 second? Yeah.
Okay. If you had to give advice to someone who wanted to quit their W-2 and be a business owner, obviously you've been, now as COO, now as starting your own thing, and before as owning your own business, what advice would you give them?
So it's going to be harder for some people and it'll be easier for some. And I've seen this scenario. Luckily in my case, my husband and I were both on the same page. Yeah. So I had a partner. I had somebody to support and he supported me. And we were able to get into this business world and owning a business together. Yeah. And so that made it a little bit easier. Yeah. Still terrifying. Yeah. We were really young, mind you. I mean, I think
Did you use your own money?
We were 23. Yes. I sold our house. We sold our house and used our money to start our business.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a great story. We sold our house. We used that money to start our business and we really put everything into it. I raised my kids in those automotive shops, right? Like they were babies that we were at the shop all day, every day, right? Which don't recommend. Don't live in your business. And you don't recommend that either, right? Your business. I made that mistake. Obviously, I didn't focus on marketing. I didn't focus on the things that made sense to scale that business. And then both of the businesses that I had started, because I'd also started a body shop a little too late, because that's actually a good industry to be in. And I'm trying to get back into it now. But I feel like the reason those didn't work is because I didn't know the things that I know now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so when you're getting into that, you worry about these things that I'm talking about right now. What if I close down? What if I don't? What if it doesn't work out? What if I screw it all up? Yeah. And you're thinking about all of that up front. Yeah. And in the reality is like, what if?
Yeah.
You close your business, you move on with your life. You're fine.
This is great advice.
Get over it. You know what I mean? Get out of your head and move on. Do it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that because I was so young.
Yeah.
So, and this is a Young Boss podcast. So because I was so young, I maybe was making a dumb decision to go start this business with a brand new family and sell my house.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know I was making a dumb decision. I just was like doing it. And I had my husband and we were like, we're going to do this, you know? And so that's how I got myself into it. But then it gave me the confidence to be like, the worst has happened.
Yep.
The
What
worst
else
has
is there left
happened.
to fear?
There's nothing else to fear. So now I've opened more businesses.
Yeah.
And now we'll open more businesses. Now I'm doing a new course, mentorship. Like literally, I could do anything. And I tell people all the time, like, I think of myself as the chameleon. And I know that that makes people feel icky, yucky, because they're like, oh, chameleons, they're just like people that accommodate for other people. But like, no, I mean it as like, I could literally walk into any environment and be like, I will become what I need to become for this. Right?
Okay.
I will change my colors and become what I need to become for this. And so that's what I feel like my superpower is not only getting along with a bunch of people that probably other people don't get along with, but just being like able to consume and become anything I need to become.
It's like relatability. You can literally relate to everyone.
It totally is. Or like becoming, if I want to become a business owner, if I could go back to school and become a veterinarian right now.
Yeah.
I know I could.
If you wanted to,
if I wanted to do that, I could. And so I think that new business owners need to think that way about themselves.
Yeah.
And the imposter syndrome will hold you back. It sucks. I have it. I mean, we all have these things. Why does somebody want to listen to what I have to say?
Right.
What makes me better than anybody else?
100%.
So, and you falling into this role, me falling into this role that I'm in, it's even harder because you're like, I did not set out to be where I am today. Like, how the heck did I get here? You know? And so everyone can do that.
Yeah.
Everyone can accidentally end up somewhere and make it work and be great at it, right? But if you never try and you never take that step to go that direction, you never know.
You're only cutting yourself short.
You're only cutting yourself short. And once again, are you going to get to your deathbed and be like, I'm so glad I never took any risks in my life? No.
Yeah.
No, you're going to be like, man, I should have jumped off that bridge and done the bungee jumping thing I wanted to do, you know? Like I should have
or started that business or talked to that girl or guy or done whatever.
Yes,
No,
100%.
I love that. And I'm glad that you shared that because I think that a lot of people are just the fear of getting started, right? What's that little Hillary Duff phrase? The fear of striking out keeps you from playing in the game from Cinderella's story.
Do you think no one's ever struck out, right? Like I'm sitting here telling you I failed. I failed. I did. I had to close my businesses because they were not successful enough for me to continue to move on.
Yeah.
And I learned from it.
And you survived.
And I survived. And I'm here to tell you about it. And nothing horrible happened. And I didn't let it consume my life. I didn't let it turn me into somebody that was cynical and unable.
You're still making money. You're still starting new things. You're still successful.
Yeah.
There will be always a second wind.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. You're not going to be good at everything when you first start, right? You're going to make mistakes. And especially, it started with you guys. I feel like anytime there was a mistake, Jean was like, it's okay. It's fine. You know? Now I do that. A mistake is made and I come to Pace. And Pace is like, this is a great learning experience. We should do a podcast or a Zoom on this, you know? And I'm like, we just lost $40,000. What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, that happens in real estate. And other people need to know they're not alone. And like, I'm not perfect. Even me, it happens to me. You know, like I'll lose money on flips if the market tanks or
it happens.
You know, like nobody's perfect. And I think that that's what people are trying to be. People are trying to be perfect. And it's like, no one's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for being here with me today. It was so much fun to hear from you and all that you have learned and just great to reconnect. So
I know I've enjoyed this way too much. There's been so many roller coasters of emotions in this.
Roller coasters of emotions. I love it. Well, if you want to learn more about Molly and her transaction coordinator course, be sure to check out the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Young Boss Podcast with me, Isabel Garino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok. And if you are scared of failing in business, let us know in the comments. I'd love to chat with you more about it and maybe help you work through those fears. Remember, youth is your power.